Okay.
Fabulous. So we shall kick off. Thanks to everybody for coming today to our session on Beyond the Company website, which will be focused on developing your business research skills for employment and research collaboration. Formerly, this session was around primarily employment, but since we've developed a few more engagement programs at the university, it becomes a bit more fitting to look at how this could be used for industry collaboration for research. And Lisa's going to show us the tools on how you can access them as a candidate or staff member here at the university. My name is Catherine Innes. I'm the HDR Industry Engagement and Placements Manager. And as I mentioned, Lisa Fittock, Research Librarian, is generously with us today to share with us her insights and her experience with using these databases. So if you want to say hi, Lisa.
Hello, everybody. So you're happy for me to start off and I'll share my screen, Catherine?
I'll just give...
Or you're going to...
Of country, and then if I can stop sharing.
Of course. Okay.
So, as we normally do for these sessions, I'd like to include an acknowledgement of country. I'm on campus here today, looking out over our beautiful new hub. So, I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the Macquarie University land, the Watamata Bao clan of the Darug Nation, whose cultures and customs have nurtured and continue to nurture this land since the Dreamtime. We pay our respects to elders past, present and future. So with that, I'll hand over to you, Lisa. I'll stop sharing. And if you'd like to carry on.
Unmute.
Sorry. I put it on mute for a second. So hopefully you can see my slides. That's all good. My name is Lisa Fittock. I'm one of the business research librarians here at Macquarie University Library. And I think I've been here just over 4 years now here at the library, but prior to that, I've worked in private sector and government as well. And I had extensive experience doing business research, particularly in my last role in government. I worked for the Australian Taxation Office, and I think I kind of liken my role in some circumstances to being a professional stalker. It certainly felt like that. So I was completing research for clients, but also delivering training sessions similar to what I'm doing today. It was research on people, on industries, companies. I loved it, chasing leads, extensively searching the commercial databases, the internet, and looking for information in the public domain also. So it was very interesting work, but it did feel definitely a bit stalkerish. And I think people would be surprised in terms of what information is out there. So there are many free sources to help with your company and industry research, but there's also the valuable content that is hidden away in these commercial databases that you have access through the university. So the purpose of this session is to show you some of those resources that the library subscribes to, pays a lot of money for, and the kinds of information that you can find in these databases also. So in terms of why this session is so important, I think researching the company before you have any engagement is really important. So you've got some background knowledge about what the company does and who the key people are. You'll be able to demonstrate, I guess, when you have those conversations with the company, that you have the knowledge and I guess also the inclination to understand their business and the environment that it operates in. But you'll also, I guess, do the checks for yourself in that case, that that the company aligns with your values as well. That might be an important aspect, just to understand what the company is about. So with this, because I guess the nature of business research, I will be covering the databases, but I will slip over into internet search territory as well, just for some tips in this session as well, because I think it will be useful if I impart some of those tips when you're doing your searches also. So if I just move on to next slide. So the overview of the session, so obviously with the introduction, the things you might want to know about a company in preparation for going to speak with them, or even at the point when you're trying to research different companies, prospective companies. We're going to talk about the business research databases and, of course, a live demonstration. So I haven't, in terms of a slide deck, I don't have lots of slides in terms of how to search the databases. The databases themselves can be fairly straightforward to use just for basic searches. But I guess, if there's any point that you think a certain screen might be useful, I can take some screenshots as well if you feel like something might be particularly useful to come back and have a look at and send those out as well. So what information might you want to know about a company? So the obvious, what a company does, the company's mission and vision statement. I recently added that one in there. It was a good reminder. My sister went for an interview the other day, and one of the first questions I asked her, what do you think of our company's mission and vision statement? So well and truly put on the spot, but it reminded me it is a good point to understand, like have a knowledge of that, obviously, if you're going in to have a conversation with the company too, and you can find that on the website. You might be looking at the size of the company, employee numbers, who are the directors, managers, key people, people in the C-suite roles, the operating officer, CIO, etc. You might be wanting to know if the company does business overseas. And of course, coming into that other area of, whether the company aligns with your particular values as well. There might be some circumstances if they test on animals, or they're tax dodgers, or whatever it might be, that might be an issue for you working with a company with that kind of reputation as well. And of course, in terms of media, what's being said in the media about the company, you might want to know what employees say about the company. Obviously, the Indeed websites have those, and Glassdoor, I think it is, have opportunities for people to make insider comments, but that might give you some insights to the company culture as well. And of course, what the customers might say about the company too. So there's, I guess, some initial things, but there are probably some other factors as well. What else you might want to know, in terms of the external environment, who are their competitors, how it's performing, the strengths, the SWOT analysis, strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats for the company, the industry that it operates in, and the outlook for that particular industry, and whether it's a saturated industry as well, where there's like lots of competitors. And you would probably want to do a news and media search also to get an awareness of significant events. And that, that also overlaps too into that interview, job interview. I'm kind of crossing over a little bit, but sometimes they might ask you about recent events to do with the company as well, and that would be important to know, at any point, if you're going to engage in a company for any reason too. So the business database is just a quick introduction. Why are they so invaluable? And it's not just because we pay a lot of money for them. They do a great job in terms of compiling information that's in the public domain in some cases. So, so they might pull all of the information from the ASX and put it into one spot. It might, pull data from various websites and put it in one spot, and allow you then to search and compare companies with one another as well. They have the value add information, so quite often they'll include some analysis about the company as well. So you'll have analysts that that are talking about the company and the industry and what's going on as well. The other aspect is that it does, if you're trying to find companies in a particular industry, it allows you, some of them allow you to search and generate lists based on a criteria, which can be really useful as well if you wanted, a list of companies that are headquartered in Sydney in a particular industry. It's quite easy to do something to that effect. And probably the big one is that some of those databases include information on public and private companies. Now that's a big one, because public companies that are on a stock exchange like the ASX, there's lots of information out there in the public domain about those. But with private companies, it can be really tricky, particularly if they're smaller companies, to find information. So sometimes, you're only going to get skerricks. So these databases might give you some information where there is nothing else anywhere else. So these databases are really useful in that particular case too. But we'll also have a look as well. The news and media databases can be a really good place to uncover some information as well. So in terms of what I'm going to cover in terms of the databases today, we're going to have a look at D&B Hoovers, Data Analysis, Ibis World, and Factiva. So D&B Hoovers is a global company database and private public companies. So it's probably our largest database in terms of company content. Data Analysis is focused on ASX listed companies, so it's a smaller pool, so not the private companies as well. Ibis World is an excellent source for Australian industry reports. So if you're looking to get a broader understanding of a particular industry, the Ibis World reports are the most comprehensive reports that we have for that purpose. And Factiva, which is a news database, and it has over 30,000 sources in it. So it's it's an excellent source. It can be a bit tricky to search, but it's a great resource for news. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go live into the databases. So let me just minimize that. I'm leaping in straight from the library homepage, so hopefully you're all familiar. Let me just expand that a bit. The library homepage, you can access, there's a link off the university homepage as well, top right-hand corner, to get into this library homepage. I don't want to focus too much on using the library sources, but if you come to this page, you'll see here under the search bar, we've got database by title. Now, just so you know, in the slides that you can have a copy of, I've actually put a link to the company. And actually, maybe I'll show you this first, but then I'll show you the other guide that I'm sending you the link to. But if you know the name of a database, you can click in database by title on this page and enter the name of the database here and run a search, and then you'll get an entry point into that particular database. But I'm just going to go back, because the link I'm actually giving you, I'm just going to go through assignment and study support. We have something called library guides. And I'm just going to go to that page now. And under business and economics, so this is the link that I'm giving you in the slides. And I'm using this particular guide because this has many of the different databases that we subscribe to in the company and industry field. So this is a great way to get an overview of all of these databases. I'm just going to click on the company research tab here. And you can see that there's a list of key databases for researching companies. So I'm not going to cover all of these, but obviously when you've got this link, you can come back and have a look at these other resources as well in your own time and you can come back if you've got any questions about those. But as you can see, there's lots of resources available to you. The first one I want to go through is DMB Hoovers, as I've mentioned. So I'm just going to click on the link here from this guide, and it'll take you into the multi-search record. And then under View Online, we're just going to click on DMB Hoovers, and it'll take you into the database. So as mentioned, all of these tips appear. I'm going to stop them. Hopefully they can be a bit annoying, but they can probably be useful if it's the first time that you've used the website. But this is the homepage for DMB Hoovers. As mentioned, it's Dun & Bradstreet. It's one of the largest company information providers globally. I think there's over 80 million companies in this particular database. So there's different aspects, different searches that you can run. Just from this homepage, you can see that there's an option to build a company list. I'm going to show you that in a moment based on a certain criteria. You can browse news. The sources are a bit different. I guess they're not your SMHs or your AFRs. For example, they've got sources like Motley Fool, etc. So it still might be useful, but you'd still want to go to Factiva to have a look for company news. You can search and find contacts for a particular company as well. There's some industry reports, and you can see here some triggers, the industry triggers and company triggers as well. But the main thing here at the top, you can see you can search for a specific company. So you can come into this database, and if you know the company you want to look for, you've got the search bar at the top. So I'm going to keep it, I thought Woolworths, because I've used this example a couple of times because I know it's kind of a broad company. You know, it's got data science aspect, it's in retail, there's lots of different aspects to this company, so I thought I might try it. But when you type in Woolworths, results started appearing. And as you can see, there's lots of results for Woolworths. And I think this is probably one of the trickiest things when you're doing company research as well. You might have the Woolworths, the listed company that's on the stock exchange, but they've got lots of different companies with Woolworths in the title. So in this particular case, if you're looking for the listed company, you need to know what that company is called. And in this case, it's Woolworths Group Limited. And obviously the one with the $42 billion sales, that looks like it might be the one. So in this case, if you're just wanting to get some information on a specific company, you type in the company name and you've got the profile here. And you'll see in this case, it gives you the business description. So a little bit of information, an overview of what the company does, probably similar to what you might find on a company homepage as well. You've got information up here, all of the information that you would expect in terms of where it's located. You can have a look here, the corporate family. You can see that there's 265 companies in that Woolworths group. So there'll be a lot of companies in there that start with Woolworths. You can see that this one is the one that's on the stock exchange, that's the code. So this is the company report that we're looking at. And as you go down, you can see there's some options here. You can see key contacts for the company. So if we click on contacts, you can get to know the names of those people, those key people that are in the company. So it's varying. So you'd have the executive directors, etc., as well, but you've got positions, who's the head of IT, a managing director of another subsidiary, the Woolies X brand there. So you can get the details of some of the names of key people working within Woolworths as well. Another thing that you can do if you are looking at Woolworths, is something here called the one-stop report. So you can have a look at the website and this particular site and have a look at all of the information, and you can put together a report that you can download and take away with you to have a look at. So you can see, you could pull together the company summary. You can choose and select the bits and pieces that you want to include into your report. And you can generate a PDF report that you can save and keep with you when you're preparing as well. So that feature can be quite nifty as well. But just looking, so we've looked at, you can explore through all of these options, but you can see, for example, down the left-hand column, there's lots of menu options, different types of information. You've got the company summary, the description, which involves a bit more information about the operations of that particular company. So that is a nice summary to have a look at as well. You've got the company history as well, which can be useful, products and operations. So you can see a list of all the brands from Woolworths. So that will give you a nice overview from that perspective too. You've got the SWOT analysis as well, which would be very useful. So the strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats for the company. And it gives you this information by the D&B analyst pulling together the information, the SWOT information about a company as well. So that would give you, just looking at those bits of information, a nice rundown of what the company does, a little bit about the history, their products, and then, the position of that company in terms of the SWOT information as well. If you're interested, you can delve a bit further. You can see here you've got the competitors tab. I hope I've clicked on the right one. You can then you get a list of the competitors for that company, which might be useful just to have that snapshot, and their revenue and their location, etc. as well. And just down in the financials, if you're interested in the financials, you can have a look at the financials for the company, and you can download a copy of those if you're interested in having a look as well. So essentially, this database is one example where it just brings a whole lot of information about a company into one spot. It is, from the perspective, this is Woolworths and it's a big listed company. So there's going to be a lot more information. If we're looking at a smaller one, particularly a private one, there is going to be less. So it is going to be more hunting around to find information. But just to fully explore what you might find in this database, this is a very good example of what you can do and what you can find. But I'll leave the report for now, because one of the other things in D&B Hoovers that I've mentioned is this building a company list. All these pop-ups. Building a company list functionality. So let's just say I'll use the theme again, just keeping in the retail theme again. But essentially what you can do in this category, if you're trying to find particular companies in an industry, there's an industry that you're interested in, you can put in some criteria to generate a list of potential companies. So this can be really useful tool as well. So in this case with location, I might just put in Australia for now, and I'll keep it broad. So you can choose your region. You can have a look, if you're looking for companies of a certain size in terms of employees. Let's just say you were looking for, I guess, a small to medium enterprise. You might say maybe 5 to 199 employees. So middle of the range number of employees, maybe at all sites, and then we can add that. So employee numbers in that range. I might leave revenue for now. And then if we're looking at the industry, so this is where you can choose the industry that you're interested in. Now, by default, I don't know if you know too much about industry codes. D&B has its own industry system, but if you click on change here, you can change it to different codes. Typically in Australia, we use the Asx industry codes. So I'll put it on the Asx codes now, and then you can either browse for particular industries and just have a look, or you can do a search across these. So I might, if I can spell it. So if I was looking again in that industry of supermarkets, grocery stores, and I'll click on that particular industry and submit. And you can see at the top here, so far there's 5,467 companies that I've found in that particular industry in Australia. So you might want to use then obviously some further criteria to narrow down. Maybe we'll try if we put in Sydney and just see. At any rate, I won't delve too much, but you get the idea. So as you build in criteria, we've put in a certain number of employees, we've selected a specific industry, we've selected a region, and now we can view those particular results. And you can see that this lists all of the grocery stores or companies in that particular industry. So what you would expect, you've got Coles and Aldi, or actually they'd be smaller, they'd be too big for this particular search. Looks like that's a subsidiary, the Coles one that I saw. But you get the idea. So you can put in a criteria, you can put in a specific industry, and you can generate a list of specific companies that you might want to target and search for, and start using for generating a list of potential people that you might want to, or companies that you might want to partner with. Is everyone, I might leave D&B Hoovers if everyone's okay with that particular database. You have any, question? Oh, you're on mute.
Thank you. I saw in context, there was some way of breaking up contexts. So I just have two questions. There was a click there in Dun & Bradstreet regarding contexts, and wondering whether you're familiar with the facility that Dun & Bradstreet offers in terms of how to access those contacts, especially if, if we're saying CEO, and the CEO is really accessible, there's a number there, but,
Okay, so in this situation, are you looking for a specific company, or are you just, because you can see here, based on this list, we can find matching contacts based on this list as well. Okay. But if it's for a specific company, did you want me to go back specifically to Woolworths? Is that what you were?
No,
or
no.
Another company?
This was generally when you were looking generally at
the front page.
The front page.
Okay.
There was one context. There was a category of a number of items for getting people. Some had a kind of. I was interested in those categories.
Okay. So when
location, employees.
So I could do a similar search again. So I could put in a criteria, and just this search, I guess it's kind of strange if you think about this database. It is used for sales prospecting. Okay. So that's primary. It's not as much for business research as it is for generating leads for salespeople to contact as well. So that's the other perspective. So from this one, if you wanted to say, I want executives that work for companies in this particular industry, you could generate a list of contacts that you could get in touch with as well. Okay. Is that so? If I just doing that again, maybe I'll limit it to something a bit smaller, and just show you how that is. That explaining what you, or just
Yeah, there was in context type. I possibly. I don't want to take your time, but
contact type. So when I was in the Woolworths page, is that right? And I clicked on contacts.
possibly, yeah, possibly.
Okay.
So I should.
No, that's okay. Let's just
It
see.
seemed to be very intelligent on the types of
So
contacts you have.
Oh, okay. Okay. If I can go back in. Sorry, let me just, I might clear and go back to the main page because it looks like it's still remembering. So if I, oh, it's because I'm spelling it wrong. So Woolworths Group. Which one? Is that the one?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
There it is. There it is. There it is. We've got contacts, contact decision matrix.
You see over the.
Yes, on the left.
In the contact
on the
decision
left.
matrix.
Yes.
So I've just clicked on that. So it does break down to your functional group. So your C-suite plus your
Awesome.
other, so your legal information as well.
Wow.
Obviously, this is dependent on the size of the company as well,
Of
but
course.
because Woolworths is quite big. Yeah, this sorry. Yeah, so that is very useful feature as well.
Okay.
Any other questions? I might move on if you're happy.
That's all good.
Look, the next one that I'm going to show you, I'm sorry, I'll just click off so I don't have too many tabs open. We've got something called Data Analysis Premium. And with this particular database, it is, so I'm just clicking through to go into the View Online Data Analysis Premium. This one is focused, this, I guess, when you think about the background, it's quite often used for investment banks, etc., that are researching the company, the stock prices and other information, but it is really a useful tool for getting information on listed companies as well. So in this particular case, to do a very simple search in these databases, in business databases, it's always pretty straightforward. In the top right-hand corner, you'll be able to do your straightforward search for the company that you're interested in, and it'll take you straight into that. But of course, it goes to the other extreme. There are other search tools as well that are really complex on the other end of it, the other end of the scale. But if you're just looking for information to get an overview on a listed company, Data Analysis Premium is great for that. You can see in a snapshot here, you've got all of the corporate details. So this is to do with the exchange information and how many shares it has and all of that information. You can see, once again, this one operates on a different industry code system called GICS. So you can see what industry that particular company's in. Down the left-hand side, you've got information and like the business summary. So with this database, the information's compiled. It's a mix of information from analysts, but a lot of it's also compiled from the various stock exchange announcements, annual reports, etc. as well. But it's put in a nice, neat way that allows you to then compare with other companies and quickly dive into different aspects of the company. So it can be really, really useful as well. You can see you've got the business summary for the company. So it's talking here, Big W, some restructuring announcements. So it gives you some relatively recent history about the company. If you have a look at directors and management, Unlike with D&B Hoovers, the information you'll find here is typically the board of directors and the CEO. So it's very high level. It's not going into those functional people within the company. You've got the company history. I won't go through each of them. Share price history, if you're interested to see how the company's performing on the stock exchange, that might be of interest as well, just to see how it's going. There's charts as well if you wanted to get a sense of the performance of that company on the stock exchange also, which is not appearing. I'm not sure. We've got the market sensitive, but you can see, you can get a snapshot of over the past year of what's been happening with the share prices. Further information, of course, you can access the annual reports. You've got access to the historical annual reports. So if you wanted to go and have a browse, you do have to keep in mind, obviously, the annual report is the showpiece. It's almost a propaganda piece. It's going to be saying all the great things about the company. So it will be perhaps a little bit biased. But you can also browse through Asx Announcements. This is a really great way to have a look at all the recent announcements about the company as well. So you may not delve too much into this before seeing a company if it's a listed company, but it does have, if you're looking for that really detailed information about its performance and announcements, you will find all of that information here in DAD Analysis. Does anyone have any questions about DAD Analysis? It's more an awareness. It's just for this one. Is that, yeah?
Can I pass a little comment? I teach investment analysis and what have you. And the annual report, yes, it's a propaganda piece, but it also includes audited financial statements.
That's true.
So this is the raw information.
No, yeah,
that's good.
You're right. And I should mention as well, we've got the financial data as well here if you wanted to have a look and extract that also. But yeah, I guess I was thinking more in terms of the qualitative information it might be, but in terms of the financials, yes, that certainly is the case. I might, so DAD Analysis Premium, I might just go back. The next one I wanted to take you through, and I think that this one is an important one in terms of the industry aspect. So I'm just going to take you into Ibis World quickly. Just taking note of the time as well. But Ibis World is probably one of the largest providers that we have here in Australia for industry reports. Quite a comprehensive selection and a couple of levels of detail in terms of the industries that are available. If we just have a look here at the top, you've got industry research and industry reports. You can see that you've got all of these broad categories, but then we've got the next level of reports within, say, manufacturing, ice cream manufacturing, seafood processing, etc. So some quite specific industry reports here as well. So you can go into that menu and browse through reports, but also on that homepage, there is that search bar in the middle. And once again, it's fairly straightforward, intuitive search, just to do a basic search. So if you're looking for a company, just so I'm keeping and comparing the same company, as you type in, it predicts results. So you can see Woolworths here and company report. So one of the other things that Ibis World does, it has company reports for the top 2,000, I think it is, organisations in Australia. It's a bit different in that it also includes reports on associations and charities as well. So you'll find reports for the Salvation Army, for example, and you'll also find reports for universities. So you'll find a report from Macquarie University also. But as you type here, because Woolworths is obviously one of the top 2,000, very large company, you'll see as I type in the different industries where it's popped up in the results. But if I could just click search at this point, and you can see it will take me to this search page, and I can use the filters down the left-hand side to narrow down. If I'm just looking for Australia and I'm just looking for industry, I can use those filters to narrow down on the left. If I'm looking for company report, I might just click that one. I think I might just show you quickly first the report for Woolworths itself. So once again, you'll find with the different databases that there will be obviously some overlap. There might be some gaps between the different reports that are produced by the different companies. But in this case, when you come to Ibis World, it has like the web page HTML view. So down the left-hand side, there's all of these different menus that you can expand and use to browse through details about the company. But you'll also see at the top near the name of the company to the right here, you can download a PDF version of that report too. So if you are preparing for a meeting or whatever, you can download that report into PDF and keep that somewhere locally in preparation. You'll see under company details all of the kinds of information that you'll expect, a snapshot of the company and the details about its address and contact information as well, a bit about the history. Once again, you've got the key personnel. I might just have a look at this. I don't know. Okay, so this has got certain levels. You've got the marketing manager details and procurement manager, sales manager, etc. So there's a bit more detail as well in this company in terms of key contacts. You've got the financial information as well, which you can export if you wanted to have a look at that into a spreadsheet as well. And then you get into the segments and industries. So if you went in here, you can see the various operating divisions. So these reports are quite detailed as well. For each of the aspects of the business here, you can see food and the big W and the hotels industry that it's part of as well. But then another aspect as well is the competitive environment. So as you can see here, companies like Woolworths would compete in various industries, but primarily you can see in this one, it's in the supermarkets and grocery stores. It'll tell you the percentage of market share that that particular company has. It tells you that the industry is high, the concentration is high, so it'll be very competitive. So it'll provide you with an overview of that particular industry that Woolworths operates in. And you can see here, it also operates in the department stores industry. So it's a part of its business is impacted by various different industries. And you can see here consumer goods. So there's a few different categories. It'll tell you about the market share for each of those categories. And you'll find that qualitative information as well for that particular company. So this can be useful to get a background to understand, you know, in some cases what the stresses are, what the challenges are for the company as well. And just, we've got the shareholders. I won't go through every company, but some information about the subsidiaries for this company as well. So that's the specific report for Woolworths, but then you can then look at it from the perspective, you know, you can see here that it operates in this particular industry. So then maybe we'll just copy that particular industry and see if we can find an industry report for that broader industry. I might go back to the home page. See, they're trying to get us to buy other modules within this database. So I'll just go back to the homepage search. Supermarkets, grocery stores, and that particular industry. And then, so you might go here to have a look for some broader information, as I said, about the industry that Woolworths operates in. So you can see down the left-hand side, again, you've got the various aspects of this report. You can download that report as well into a PDF to have a look at later. But you can see you've got information about the industry. So you've got the snapshot information and key data and major players within that particular industry. So you get a sense of all of that data, lots of nice charts there to have a look at as well, key trends. Let me just click on the major players again, or is that down the bottom? So you can see here the major players. It tells you that Woolworths is a major player, but we've got Coles and Metcash, which is IGA, and Aldi, and then 17%, which is other. So you've got that information. You've got information about the industry's performance. So you can find out about the current and historical performance. But then you can have a look and see information about the industry outlook as well, I guess, so what the future is like for this, or what they're predicting the future will be like for this particular industry as well. So this can be really useful to get that landscape in the next few years as well. You've also got information about the competitive landscape and obviously the major players in that company, key statistics. So I won't go through all of those, but if you wanted to get a sense, so you've got the company, and then you want to find out, I guess, its operating environment, what the impacts are of that broader industry that company operates in. You can go through and find the industry report for that respective company that you're interested in, or just generally you might be wanting to understand a particular industry as well. So Ibis World is an excellent place for finding those reports. I think, does anyone have any questions about Ibis World, or is that fairly straightforward? So the next aspect, before I go into the news, I like to do a little bit of a coverage, as I've said, on internet searching as well. Some of you might be familiar with advanced searching techniques on the internet, but really with business research, you'll find you might come in and you'll look at a database and you'll find maybe a tiny bit of information, and then you'll take that and you'll go and try searches to try and find more information. So it really is that iterative process. It's not, you're not necessarily just going into one database and getting all of your answers. You'll be chasing leads as well. So just a couple of tips that I would like to show you. I'm going to use Google as the search engine, which I probably shouldn't default to Google, because there are other search engines out there as well. But if you are looking, let's just say, if you're looking for reports, government reports, for example, if you're looking for information, regulatory information that might impact a particular company, or just doing some broad search about government, there is a way that you can search just across government websites using this site :gov.au functionality. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but so one aspect, now I'll use that one as an example first, and maybe I'll go out a little bit. So let's just say, for example, we were looking for government reports that look that relate to artificial intelligence, say, and you wanted government information from government websites. So you can see, I'll just make that a little bit bigger, that by putting in that site :gov.au, you've narrowed down all of your information to just from websites that are government websites. So that can be an easy way to do an advanced search if you're looking for government information. And of course, another tool you've got there at the top in the bar, you've got anytime. You might want the last year, for example. So you really want to narrow it down to recent material. So that's another aspect too. So if you're looking for information on a particular industry topic in government, the other thing that you might want to do as well, quite often, if you're looking for a report, it's going to be in a PDF format. So if you do file type PDF and add that to your search bar as well, and run a search, you're going to get information from government websites on artificial intelligence that are PDF documents too. So this can be really useful when you're trying to hone in on when doing your internet searches. The other thing as well, when you're looking, I guess, broadly at industry, you might want to look at websites like PwC or Deloitte, KPMG, and the managing consulting firms to have a look to see what kind of information that they have on their websites as well. And using a similar principle, you can, so for example, I can put in pwc.com, and I will just say, I'll just go over here. I do have a document where I've put together some of these examples, which I can send you as well, just some tips for searching government sites, education sites, social media, using the internet. So if you think that that might be useful for running your searches, I can send that through as well. But just as an example, you can put in site PwC, but you can also add other specific sites as well. So this, sometimes with these big firms like Ernst & Young and PwC, their websites are quite huge and difficult to search. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put some brackets around that. So essentially, just in this specific example, I'm going to look and see if there's some reports relating to artificial intelligence. I could use a supermarket example as well, but I thought I'd change it up. But what I'm saying is I want the PwC site or Ernst & Young site or KPMG. And I'm looking for artificial intelligence as a phrase because I've got the inverted commas and I'm looking for PDF reports. So if I just use that example, you can see it's bringing up results, Ernst & Young, their PDF reports, and I've got a filter for the past year. So it's bringing up those documents on the various websites. So you can see we've got Ernst & Young and PwC there. So that can be a great way to narrow down to content from those sites, because there's quite a few in those management consulting firm space. You've got Boston, I can't think of the name of it at the moment, but you've got McKinsey as well. So this can be a great way to search across just those key websites for information too. Another thing that I do, and using this same principle, LinkedIn is a great way, obviously, to, once you've got a name, or if you want to work out the details, or, employees at a specific company, you might want some further insights. You might be going to have a meeting with a particular person. And you may know, depending on your settings, if you've got a LinkedIn account and you run a search for someone on LinkedIn, generally with the default settings, they're going to see that you've looked them up, just so you're aware of that. And some people aren't, but sometimes I find you can actually, similarly, I have to remember, I think it's au.linkedin.com. Let me just check to make sure. So this, you can actually do a site search without actually going into LinkedIn. Maybe I had the name of someone who used to work. So if you were looking, so we've got this, and you had the name of a particular employee, so that worked for Woolworths, you can use the website. Maybe he's not there. And you might be able to, have I spelled his name wrong? No, that's okay. But you can use this as a roundabout way as well to look for perhaps employees. So if I do that search and look for Woolworths, part of the problem is we're getting lots of LinkedIn pages for Woolworths itself and lots of jobs. So I can put in a minus there and say I don't want jobs in my search. I've got the code wrong. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. There is sometimes where was it? Yeah, I might have to, so in URL, I might have to play around with that one a bit, but you can actually take out words from your search term. So if you are getting lots of results for jobs, there is a way to eliminate that as well. So I'll test that and send that detail out to you as well. But that is a good way. So if you're going to meet with someone, to get some background information using LinkedIn, but not necessarily going into LinkedIn, and doing some internet searches on that person. I always recommend, you might look at Facebook and other things. So I guess depending on your situation, it can be good to be prepared and be able to strike up a conversation, because you've got some information you might be able to, I guess, use to start a conversation where they have particular interests. But you do have to be careful in those situations. If you are a bit nervous and a bit too much, and you start saying, our kids go to the same school or something like that, that might be a bit might not work so well. But it can be helpful to just have a little bit of knowledge and do the background information on people that you're meeting as well. And LinkedIn is obviously a great way. And just keeping in mind as well, if you do have a premium account, which is very expensive, mind you, you can actually put your privacy settings on as well. So I've kind of covered off, so using the internet is a great place. Obviously, if you're looking at a particular industry, you've got industry association websites. So you'll be looking on the internet for those, as well as looking at the various databases for information. And I guess the final one that I wanted to show you is searching for news, because that is really important to get background information about a company. So I'm just going to click off that. Sorry, I've shut the guide down. So I'm just going to go back to that company and industry information page and company research. Actually, this one's down that left-hand side, you'll see one for business news. And the one that I want to show you is Factiva. Now, so we'll just click through to Factiva. This, once again, if your company is smaller, this is particularly useful, because sometimes for many companies, this is the only place you'll find any information. Just, I guess, from my experience, with the tax office looking for smaller companies, news sources is the only way that you might find little skerricks of information. But another place, and I should have mentioned as well, there's court websites as well. Sometimes you might find some details about companies, if there have been any legal proceedings as well. But news is a great place to search. This is the homepage for Factiva. You'll see at the top, you've got the search button there. and this takes you into the search page. So from here, you can see you've got a free text search, which is fairly straightforward, or actually, it's not straightforward at all. You can put in your term. So if you're just putting in a company name, what you need to know, you can see I've got my cursor in there. I don't know if you're familiar with Boolean operators. You can't just type in a bunch of words. I think if you're looking for Uber, taxi, competition, and you put all of those words expecting to find articles on that, it'll search it automatically all together as a phrase. So you need to put these connectors between your words. So for example, if you're looking for Woolworths and say corporate social responsibility, that is how you would have to enter it in. You have to connect the topic. So corporate social responsibility would be searched together as a phrase, but you'd want to put the and between Woolworths and corporate social responsibility. So just as an example, you've got here your date range. So maybe I'll just put the last date for the last year and run that particular search. So you can see that there's 12 articles relating to Woolworths and corporate social responsibility. But if I take out this and, it literally does then search it. There's nothing. So those connectors are really important. So a few people have come unstuck with that particular search. So just to know when you're building your search, just use those operators between the search terms. So in this case, maybe I'll just narrow it down to Woolworths. So we're just going to see media mentions of Woolworths. So I've got the Woolworths in the search last year. You can see that there's a whole lot of filters here that you can use to explore. So we've got the different types of sources, for example. So you can see here there's a category of top sources. And typically one that I might use is major news and business. So you can add some sources underneath if you want. You can use the company search, but typically my pattern would be keep it broad, run a keyword search to begin with for the company, maybe break it down to major news and business, because this particular resource includes Asx Announcements and lots of other announcements, so you get a lot of results. But you can just to point out that there are different fields there that you can search. And another important thing that I'll just show you for those who want to fully maximize the use of Factiva, underneath that search form on the left is examples. And this is a very comprehensive guide to all of the advanced search capability in Factiva, which is pretty fantastic. So if you want to do a very specific news search on a company, an industry, whatever it might be, these advanced search examples here are fantastic. It's a very powerful search. So just as an example, you can, rather than searching something as a phrase, you can do 2 words within proximity of each other, rather than, because, you know, sometimes a phrase can be really restrictive. By using proximity searches, you can say, you know, that you want 2 words in the same sentence rather than at the beginning and an end of an article, because sometimes 2 words being connected, they're likely to be more relevant for you in the results. So I recommend going through and having a look at these. I just wanted to point that out as well. So now I'm going to just have a look for Woolworths. Now, so when you come into this particular page, you'll see there's over 25,000 results, even just in major news and business for Woolworths. Down the left-hand side, you can see there's all of these filters, and these can be really handy as well for narrowing down your search. You can see for the last year, you've got a breakdown. You can see for that particular month, there were a lot of articles. So in April, lots of articles. So you could click on that if you just wanted to look at articles for Woolworths in that particular month. If you scroll down, you can see that there's a company filter. Now, when you're doing a search in Factiva and you just put a keyword of Woolworths in an article into the search, it just brings up any result that mentions Woolworths. But when you've got these company filters, those articles have actually been categorized as being about the company. So that's the difference when you use a company search. So a lot of these 25,000 articles would just be mentions. Woolworths could be in the last paragraph. It could be, you're barely worth a mention in an article. But if I click on Woolworths Group here, it narrows it down significantly. But you'll find, because it's used this company filter, that these articles very much relate to Woolworths, the company. So that can be a good way to filter down to those key articles to the company. As you scroll down further, if you change your mind, by the way, the filters are put at the top, and you can remove any of those that you apply as well. So you can undo anything that you select. But down the left-hand side, you can see the key sources that have been mentioned in all of these results. So if you decide I only want articles from the Financial Review that talk about Woolworths, you can click that as well, and automatically your results will only be from the Financial Review. So if you find there's a particular publication, Financial Review is obviously a good one, you can narrow down to just content from that publication. As we scroll down a bit further, you've got other subject areas, and this can be quite useful. So if you're trying to find out a bit more about the company, you get an idea about the subject headings. So for example, you've got subject headings like corporate actions. In some cases, there might be subject categories about legal or corporate crime, etc. So you can get a sense of the categories of the articles relating to those specific companies. So if, there might have been some trouble, for example, you might click on corporate crime and just have a look to, obviously more in the negative news space, but you can see that there was a class action for Woolworths. So you can get that kind of information. And I think that can be really useful. You might have a company previously like Nestle that was using palm oil in its products. I think an example for me, just from a personal point of view, I was looking to open a bank account with ING at one point and found out that they were listed as one of the top 50 corporate tax dodgers. And obviously working at the tax office, that was, it's like, do I want to support a company that's a tax dodger? But then I guess I looked down, I was using my Apple phone and I was searching in a Google search engine, and they're all notorious. So I think that ship had sailed. So, but you get what I mean. You might find some information about a company that, that doesn't treat staff very well. But on the flip side, you might find some really positive news articles about a company that might be something that you can discuss with them, and some insights into that particular company that shows that you've got the knowledge of what's going on and what's happened, and that might impress them as well, that you have so much and that you have done your homework and have that inside knowledge into that company as well. So there's different aspects why you might use the news and media searching as well. I think I might, look, there's so much I can do. I might just finish up actually on Factiva. If you do get to a point that you find some articles that are of interest, that once again, you're building, I guess, compiling some information before you go and have a meeting, You can actually select articles. So in this case, I can select a few. I've limited down by my filters there, and I have an option to download as a PDF. There's various options for downloading. You can see this one I think is quite useful, the headline, article, and table of contents. If you've got 10 or more articles, what it does is it generates that table of contents page. So you get a summary of all the articles in there, and then it lists each article by full text in that particular report. So you can download up to 100 articles at one time. But as I've said, you know, if you've got something that you want to take away and just have a look through, and when you're compiling information, being able to download that content is really useful as well. So does anyone have any questions about Factiva? No. I guess just in quick summary, I think business research, doing that investigative process is, I find it really interesting. I always found it really challenging, just that looking for the tidbits of information. But those business databases, the content in there, quite often you'll find information that's not freely available on the web. So that's one advantage. Pay a lot of money for those resources. So it is well and truly worthwhile going and having a look and seeing what you can find in those resources as well. And at the very least, they will lead you to other information that you might want to research further. So they are an excellent resource in the business research tool list of tools that you can use when investigating, finding companies on individuals and the companies in the industry as well. So I think I will leave it there if nobody has any questions.
Can we contact you if we have any?
Of course, very, very happy to be contacted if you have any further questions.
Brilliant.
And we can send around the slides that has my name and, just as I said, that link to the that library guide as well.
Thanks so much, Lisa. That was amazing. I love those Google searches. That will clean up a lot of things I look for. I can go straight to PDFs. That's amazing. And yeah, it's fantastic. And it made me think of other ways this information from a research collaboration, but also to anybody who's interested in setting up their own business as an entrepreneur, you know, checking out competitors, the industries, you know, who knows in the future where you might find yourself. And if you're thinking about starting your own business now, you can have a great look at what other people are doing. So it's great, especially when you can look at private companies as well, and you can't already, you know, find that easily. So I really do appreciate your time, and thank you so much for your candor and your flexibility and giving us a bit more time today. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It was very, very helpful and very structured. I really appreciated that.
Great. I just have one or more two slides, but does anybody have any more questions for Lisa? Maybe while you're thinking of them, I can just bring up my screen, and then we'll be nearly done. And so it was basically just to maybe reiterate some of the industry engagement opportunities that we have, or maybe what you may use these databases for in the future if, for instance, you are on one of our programs. So APR Intern is the third-party PhD program, and if you know, and there has been some candidates who have found their own placement with this particular organisation. And if you are looking for industry sectors, small to medium enterprises in a particular research field that you may want to do an internship with during your PhD candidature, you could look maybe using these tools that Lisa showed us today, and what their future plans are, what they have been doing, and you know, who are the best people to approach in those functions and roles. In terms of industry mentoring network in STEM, some of our candidates in their second year of their PhD get connected with companies, you know, with high profile contacts within organizations. and, you know, getting to know their organization that they currently work for, and also the places that they may send you, or say, have you looked at this particular industry sector, and you can go readily into these databases and have a look at maybe what your mentor suggests are good ideas to look into further. So there's ways of leveraging, you know, this information in lots of different ways. And as I mentioned there, if you are looking into making your own business in the future, the MQ Incubator has programs, you know, to start thinking about how you might set up your own company. So I encourage you to keep looking at their opportunities. They have a great newsletter. If you subscribe to their newsletter on their webpage, you can get that information ahead of everybody else. And in terms of webinars, the other webinar happening this week, tomorrow, we have Dr. Paul Hogan, Professionals with a PhD. He'll be talking about his career from PhD in chemical engineering through to his current role as Director of Corporate Engagement, and his transition from an academic role to his current professional role. So just some other ways that you may find this information particularly useful. So if there's no further questions, we may just finish there. And again, I'd like to thank Lisa for her time today. I really do appreciate this, and I'm so glad we have this recorded. You've been very grateful in the past with your time, and I hope we can do another one of these sessions live again. But I think this is going to be a great resource for anybody who wants to come back and go, well, what, you know, to have take their time through the particular recording. So is there any other questions before we head off? All good?
Excuse me? Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a small question. Maybe it's not related to the presentation Lisa just made. Because I'm just think of the opportunities to work in the industries. And a few days ago, I'm looking for the research assistant job. Related to some industries. But it's for me, it's sort of like, because for me, I'm doing the qualitative study and data analysis in my PhD. It's sort of like, the qualitative data analysis, this kind of techniques is not really needed by the industries, right? Because, based on my understanding, the most data analysis method or techniques needed in the industries are all related to quantitative or related to the statistics analysis, right? Is it? This is the normal way.
So if I understand correctly, Ian, and maybe Lisa, if you want to jump in here too. So analysis during your particular PhD, you're finding that it's the quantitative is more valued than qualitative.
This what I want to ask for for the research assistant job related to the business and also related to industries.
I suppose it depends on the field. So you're looking at a particular position as an RA, is it?
I'm looking for a particular position as RA, research assistant, in the different industries.
And which industry, sorry?
Is in I remember the first one is related to the transportation, the Traffic Transportation Bureau or what kind of thing. I can't remember exactly the name. And the second industry is related to the what kind of to serve for the disability industry. I can't remember the exact name of the company.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose when I'm thinking of the ones that we just looked at in terms of Ibis World and what I've used myself in my own graduate studies, I would find Ibis World is really good for quantitative data as much as maybe some quantitative. There's lots of historical statistics on what the company has been doing, or transport, if you're looking at transport industries. They give you a good background on, lots of different things, lots of key statistics that relate to that organization or that industry, I should say. I think that might help. If you want to maybe look at Ibis World, or if there's any other maybe to help you further, Lisa could tell you there's some other databases, but I think the ones you've covered have been really comprehensive in finding that. Does that answer your question, Ying? I'm not really sure I am.
Yeah, it's part of, like answer my question, because I'm just wondering what types of industries are more focused on qualitative, or there's no, I have no idea how to search for that, because based on my understanding, the quantitative is more valued, than the qualitative, in the industry field. So if I'm searching for this kind of a job, I don't know what types of industries value more qualitative than quantitative, or there's no way to search for that information.
Do you want to jump in, Lisa?
I'm just pondering on that one. I don't I don't know whether they're, that wouldn't be necessarily in the databases, but I'm just thinking in terms of professional profiles for research. I might have to have a think about that one. So you'd be looking for something where
no worries.
different industries and what type of employees that they're looking, or what kind of expertise, research expertise, whether it's qual or quant.
This made me think. There's one thing I'm just remembering. Oh, sorry, Lisa, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. No, that's fine.
There's a report from APR Intern about top PhD employers, and it talks about more so who those companies are, but there might be a bit in that report about the skill sets they use. So we'll share that with the slides after this particular session. And that might be some use to you, Uni.
Oh. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
No problem. Lisa, sorry, were you going to say?
No, that's the kind of thing that I was thinking of. I'm just trying to wonder who might put together, but that report probably sounds like it would be on point.
Well, thank you, everybody. We might just leave it there. And again, thanks again for attending today. I really appreciate your attendance. And thanks again, Lisa, for participating and hosting this fantastic opportunity to have a look at these particular tools that we have at our fingertips for free as current candidates and staff. So thanks again. I wish you all a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Lisa and Catherine. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.